Welcome to the Secrets of College Planning. I'm your host, Anthony Uva, and today we're going to get some insight into bands at the college level. My guest today is Todd Nichols. He's the Director of Athletics for Bands at Rutgers University, and welcome to the show.
Hi, Anthony. Good to see you.
Yeah, no problem. So usually I start my guests where they went to college. So where'd you go to school?
Right down the road, the College of New Jersey. I'm a Jersey boy, born and bred, been here all my life, went to college just down the way.
All right, great. So let's go back into high school first before we get into what you're doing. What year did you start thinking about college? Was it freshman year, senior year? When did it all start?
I kind of was one of those kids who always had known that I wanted to do music from when I was, late middle school, early high school. So I got real serious about looking at schools probably like junior year.
Okay.
I always wanted to play an instrument, always wanted to be a pro musician, but really focused on school choices towards the middle of high school.
Okay, so did you play an instrument in high school?
Oh yeah, I did. I played all kinds of percussion as drummer and played classical and jazz percussion and played professionally all the way up until this job actually. I taught public school for 19 years in New Jersey and freelanced as a drummer at the same time. So.
Wow. All right. So you go to school, graduate. How does one go from graduating college to director of athletic bands at Rutgers University?
Well, for me, the process was a lot of stepping stones. When I was in school and I was in college, I had really gotten into teaching and really had started thinking about what do I want to do when I finish this degree. And I had desired to someday be a college band director. But in order to get to that point, you need multiple degrees and experience, what have you. So I started working with a lot of high school marching bands, and I was a drumline instructor for many, many different places, became like an assistant at some schools, an assistant marching band director. Did that while I was in college to gain experience, and then landed my first teaching job right after I got out of school. Spent 6 years there at Edison High School, worked really hard to build a program, then was fortunate enough to get an opportunity to teach in Roxbury High School, where I have been for the last 13 years, and that 19 years was able to develop a program, international and national performances, and be able to use that to kind of get ready to go up to the college level.
Okay, so then you got a job with Rutgers right after that?
Right. Just July is when I started, actually.
Oh, fantastic.
So, yeah.
So let's go into band. How does it all work? What's the process? What do you actually do?
I have a double position at the university, so I'm the director of the athletic bands, which means I organize, administrate, and run the marching band and oversee all of our basketball bands, our pep bands. They play for men's and women's basketball as well. And in addition to that, I'm what they call the associate director of university bands, so I work in the music department as well. I conduct one of the concert bands, oversee a second concert band in the spring, and in the spring teach a course for students who are preparing to be music educators. So it's a prep course for going out to teach.
Wow, that's fantastic. So what's the process of students from high school going to college for band?
Well, what they need to do is they need to take a look at different schools that they're considering and put them into a hierarchy. And I always tell students when they're looking for where to go, you need to look for the ensemble experience. What schools offer numerous bands, numerous orchestras? Do they have an athletic band program, marching bands, what have you? Do they have chamber music and small ensembles? Then the second biggest piece of the puzzle is the teacher who teaches their instrument. And going to these schools and visiting and taking a lesson with these teachers, those are the two most important things. Every school is going to offer music theory, music history, and different things to be your base core knowledge. But the very specific things of a private teacher and how many ensembles you have and how established those ensembles are makes a really big difference. So I always tell students and their parents that's the first thing they should look for. Look for a comprehensive program that has what you're looking for.
Now, does every level at the college level have a band? Is it a Division III level compared to a Big Ten Division I level?
Right. It all depends. Most all schools, depending on their size and their division, are going to have some kind of concert band and orchestra. In our situation, we're very fortunate being in the Big Ten. We're the only Division I school in New Jersey that has a full-fledged marching band. There are other pep bands in the state, many at some of the D2, D3 schools. They have pep bands, but as far as like a full-fledged collegiate marching band, we're the only game in town.
Wow. Yeah. Fantastic. So now, does it work similar to sports at the college level? Do they get scholarships? Is it?
Yeah, we're very fortunate. We do have an endowment, and that endowment helps to fund scholarships, and also it gives an opportunity for us to recruit. We have a decent amount of scholarship money available. That what most people don't know is the large majority of the members of the marching band at Rutgers are non-majors. So the ability to reach out to engineering majors and or business majors is great, because we can bring in some very qualified and very talented musicians who play their instrument, who maybe don't do it as their vocation, but we're able to have them still be part of our university program. And then on the flip side, some of our very, very talented musicians who are doing this for a career, they're going to school to either be a music educator or a performer. It gives us the ability to reach out to them as well and have some scholarship money for them.
So is it broken up into different amounts for scholarships, similar to like the lower sports like baseball or field hockey or something like that?
Yeah, we have a couple different avenues. The endowment covers a wide range of things. So we have some stipend awards for those who are multiple year participants. So if they're in for 2, 3, or 4 years, it depends on how many years. We have for our music education majors is a different line, and then we have some additional funding for scholarships that is just based on merit.
Wow. Now, is it similar to sports as well, where you're recruiting the kids they have to play a certain instrument because somebody is graduating?
Most.
How does it work?
Most definitely. I'm very new to the position, having just started in July, and one of my goals is to enrollment is to grow the enrollment and have our band become a lot larger than it is. It's big right now. It's a little over 200 members, but for the size of our university and in line with what some other universities in the Big Ten are, I would like to have us up around 350. So recruiting is a very important thing. Getting out into the public schools. That's one thing that I'm looking forward to now in the off season, is getting out and speaking with my colleagues and visiting a lot of schools and seeing, if there's interested students, if they're coming to Rutgers, getting them to join the band and be part of the program, and also on campus as well. Having 45,000 students on the New Brunswick campus, there's a ton of great musicians who just haven't necessarily realized that we have a great band opportunity for them.
So now, do you comb the country? Is it like big time sports where you're going all over the place to find these people?
Not exactly, but we do attend. My colleagues and I attend some conferences. We go to a major conference in Chicago, which happens every year, the Midwest Band Clinic. We have a booth there, and we're able to meet students over 2 or 3 days from all over the country and be able to talk to them about the opportunities that we have. And we'll travel to some regional events and some statewide things as well. But most of the students who are in the program come from the tri-state area.
Gotcha. So now, what does a student at the high school level need? What are some of the requirements to come to college and play band?
Well, for the marching band and for the athletic bands, they basically just need to be able to have a requisite, playing level. There's no audition right now because the marching band is primarily non-majors. It's basically just the ability to play your instrument and play and move the formations that we teach, which we rarely have anyone who's not able to do that. Mm-hmm. We have enough, staff and teaching professionals to help them, and basically just have a great attitude and be able to, participate in what's asked of you, and that's it.
So, do you look at grades? Do you look at film? Is there film that they send you?
We can listen to the quality of the musician, absolutely, and do a little pre-screening. But right now, we're not in the business of cutting anyone. We're trying to build a larger, band family, if you will, and a stronger base for us to work with. Most of the students come from New Jersey, and they come from very fine high school band programs. So even kind of knowing where they've come from and having seen their groups, we have a good idea of what the baseline is for the students coming in.
So now, are you doing all the work, or do you have people that work with you that they go to the different schools and listen to the different bands?
Right. We have a team of professors who, there's 3 of us who are on the band staff, and then we have a staff as well. We have some guys who teach the percussion section, some people who work with the color guard. Those guys especially, they'll go out and throughout the winter in these, off months for us, there are other things happening where they can go watch these schools perform, and they kind of get an eye for where some good things are happening, and then hopefully, we tap into some students if they're going to come to Rutgers in the hopes that they'll join us.
So now, is there some kind of grading system that you have for the schools in the tri-state area, being that those are where the majority?
No, we pretty much work from the center out, and we know within Central Jersey where the larger schools are. Your Division 4 or 5 schools, just based on enrollment. And then, from me working in the public schools for so long, I have a very strong knowledge of where programs are and where students are. Where music is really a high priority. But it's not just those schools that are the ones we're looking at. We're trying to really look at also maybe there's some schools around that maybe don't have as strong a music program, but they have some students in there who are really, really terrific. They could have, strong individuals. We look at the members who play an all-state band a lot and really take a look at, where they're coming from. And it's not always from the super powerhouse schools. You might have a smaller school somewhere and just 1 or 2 students get in from there, and they're great contributors. They could be wonderful.
So now I come to Rutgers University. What's the process of the whole year? Is there a lot of practices? Is there just the games?
Right.
How does band work all year round?
We have preseason training sessions. So in the summertime, they'll work with what we call section leaders, and the section leaders will call music rehearsals, and for students who are on campus, and just kind of get them familiar with basics of how we our warm-ups and how we play our music, basics of the drill formations and how to march. That leads into what we call band camp, and band camp is your typical hardcore preseason, about 9 days of 9 in the morning till 9 at night, and we start slugging it out and learning everything we need to for the season. We come back from band camp, start the season, and we rehearse 3 nights a week. It is a class. The kids get a credit for it. We rehearse Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for 2 hours each day, and then we do all home games. So on a game day is a long day. It's about a 12 to 14-hour day for the students. They'll be in early. We'll have a 2-hour rehearsal on game day. They have a lot of performance things they do before the game even starts. Then we do the traditional college pregame, the game itself, post-game, and then need time to pack up and what have you. We do some exhibition performances as well, so we'll play at some local high schools as like a invited feature group. We host the state marching band championship at Rutgers, so that's another recruiting thing as well. We have about 68 to 75 bands come, so yeah, pretty good.
So now football ends right around November, going into December. What happens to the band from January until school ends in May? Are they just doing basketball at that point?
Once we hit November, we have what we call like the crossover time. We are still in marching band season, and depending on how the football season goes, whether or not we become bowl eligible. And basketball, men's and women's basketball, starts at the same time. So we'll be doing quite a bit in the month of November, and then as marching band winds down, depending on if it's November or December, basketball band, pep band as we call it, goes into full swing, and that lasts from now until about the middle of March when it gets into tournament time. And then pretty much as soon as tournament time is done, we're into signups and recruiting and preseason. There'll be a spring football, fun game that they do called the Scarlet and White game is in April, and then we're off and running. We're on to the next season already. So.
Wow. So now do you find students way ahead of time? So you're looking at students, junior year of high school?
We'll talk to any students. We're very fortunate. A lot of students have started to hear about what we're doing, and they've asked to come and visit. And junior year is the best time to start talking about it, and then actively, really, nitty gritty details. Obviously, is senior year when you're waiting to find out if a student has committed to coming to the university or not. But I invite students all the time. Come and visit a practice, come see a game. We do a big band alumni and recruiting day. So we have a day that we have dedicated just for our alumni to come back, but then another day that's dedicated for future recruits. This year I happened to put them both on the same day, and I had like over 700 people participate at halftime. Next year we're going to split it and do it differently, but that day is a day for high school students to come and visit, spend the whole day, see what it's like to be a Marching Scarlet Knight, follow the whole process from beginning to end. So
now what happens academic-wise? Is there study hall classes? Is it all about band and that's it? How does academics get in?
This is a 1-credit course regardless of their major. So they basically fit it into their schedule along with whatever else they have. That is one thing that is pretty inspiring actually of the students at Rutgers, is because everything is so split up on multiple campuses, you'll have students who will be finishing a course over on one campus, hopping a bus to make it over to marching band practice, doing their marching band practice, hopping right back on another bus to go to a third campus, because they went from, engineering 101 to biotech 607 to marching band back to astrophysics. And it's pretty impressive what these students do.
Wow. So it's really time management that is involved at that point.
No doubt.
So how about when they graduate from college? What do a good majority of the students that get into the band, what do they end up doing? Do they just end up all becoming music teachers?
No. I mean, out of the athletic bands, we have, I think, 57 different majors. So there's everything from mechanical, electrical engineers to chemists to genetics majors. I do have an astrophysics major, pre-med. We do have music educators. We have, pretty much any major you could imagine is represented in this organization. So we talk a lot more about the benefits of marching band sometimes are not necessarily musical. The ability to become part of a team, the ability to work together for a common goal, your time management skills, the ability to work well with others, just certain life skills that no matter what they decide to do, they learn about that while being part of the band, which is kind of neat. So one thing I love about teaching the marching band is we're teaching them not just about becoming good musicians, but also about becoming great people.
Yeah, that's great. So how about the schools itself, the high school students themselves to get into Rutgers? It's the same process, right? It's the applications,
Yep.
They send it in, they need the requirements to get into the school.
Right.
Is there any other process that they're taking?
No, for us right now, as long as they get accepted to the university and they're part of the, whatever program, whatever school they've been accepted to, then they're able to register for either marching band or pep band as an elective course. So they get 1 credit for marching band, 1 credit for pep band. So it just basically is an elective that they can take that's open to any and all majors.
And that's an every year one credit?
Yes.
So it's just an added credit every year for each one of the things
Yep.
that they're doing.
And you'll find most of our students, we polled them and tried to see some things for our own demographics. Most of them take somewhere between 18 and 21 credits.
Now, how about the music itself? Is it a wide variety of music, or is it just orchestra type music and that's it? Do you get the modern day pop music in there?
Oh yeah, definitely.
How does it all work?
It's definitely a hodgepodge, and there's a reason for that. I take into account who attends these games, and it's everyone from the student section and the college students themselves to parents, to grandparents, to grandkids. So you have such a wide age range, and everything that we do from week to week. I try to, over the course of the season, appeal to every age and every possibility that we can. We do a lot of rock and roll music. It's very popular and widely received. But we've also played classical orchestral music for our American tribute concert. For our veterans. We did a jazz show. In the future, we're going to do some Broadway music, things like that. But we try to make whatever it is that we do super exciting, very entertaining, and something that's pretty well known, so that even if you don't necessarily like the genre, you're like, okay, well, I know that tune, and that's kind of fun to listen to.
So now, how long does it take a student to pick up the music and just get it so then they can play it, as a
right? It depends.
As a team.
It depends on how many weeks we have. That's one of the most challenging things about being in the Big Ten, is that there's an unofficial expectation that you're doing a different show almost every week. And being that we only rehearse 3 days a week, it could be pretty challenging if we only have a 1-week turnaround. If we have 2 or 3 weeks in between games, then it becomes a little bit easier because we can kind of be a little bit slower. So I try to make sure that I pace whether or not sometimes we'll repeat a show just because of that, because we need a little bit more time to learn a brand new show. But again, I can't say enough about, these students are very intelligent and they pick up very quickly. We also design it in a way like we know how many hours a week we have to rehearse. We know what's going to happen if we get rained on and we start getting into a situation where we might lose an hour or two for whatever reason. So we try to structure it that way. And the harder shows, the more difficult material would be put into a 2 or 3 week production run.
So now, do some students, do they join the band one year and then the following year they say, oh, this isn't for me, I'm just going to stay with school and that's it?
Right. Sometimes, unfortunately that does happen. It typically happens as they get into that junior and senior year when they're approaching some serious credit requirements to finish graduation on time so they don't have to put in another year, or the pressures of we have a lot of students in high honors courses, if they're in an honors college, that gets very stressful for them. And then some do, unfortunately, it gets to a point where it's tough for them to handle and do both. However, we try to work with them and be understanding of the fact that marching band is part of their collegiate experience, but it's not necessarily the reason they're going to school.
Yeah.
So, trying to be understanding of that and, work with them is something we always try to do. We don't like to see any student leave our program, but sometimes it does just get a little too much.
So now, you said that there's 200 people as part of the band right now, and you want to grow it to 350 people.
Yep.
Compared to a university, let's say Notre Dame or Michigan State or something like that, what are those size bands compared to Rutgers?
Actually, me becoming a new member of the Big Ten, I actually reached out to all of my colleagues, and they were fantastic. I sent them a short email with like 5 questions. How big is your school? How big is your band? How often do you rehearse? Things like that. Every single director got back to me, which was incredible. And we are in the middle of all of the schools. There are some schools, the big powerhouses like your Michigan or your Ohio State, they'll be around 400, 380 to 400. Wow. But there's a lot of schools that are in like the 260s. There's one school in the Big Ten that's only 120. There's one that's around our size, 200. So a lot of schools are in that like mid to high 200s, and then some of the programs that have been established for a very, very long time, they're in the 300s.
And is there a reason why you need that many people as part of the band?
Body of sound and the ability to make really intricate looking pictures on the field. So when you have the more people you have, the more opportunity you have to create a more powerful sound and also be able to do more detail in what you see on the field.
Very interesting. Didn't know that. Yeah. Well, we're coming to the end of our show. Usually I ask my guests, what advice do you want to give to the parents out there that their sons and daughters are interested in going to play band at the college level? What advice do you want to give to those parents?
Do your research. Don't be afraid to reach out to schools and reach out to the directors of the ensembles, talk to the professors that are there teaching. The more hands-on you can be, the better it's going to be for your son or your daughter. Just taking the time to find out how many ensembles do you have, what courses do you need to take, what are the requirements, and how long does it take? Can I still do this even if I'm not a music major? Because I think most times parents they think they have an answer because of what they heard from somewhere else, and it's actually incorrect. Like a giant misconception for our marching band right now is you have to be a music major to be in it, which could not be further from the truth. And just being able to connect with those teachers and get the answer right from the people who are doing it, and then go visit. Take some time and go look at the school and see if you like the atmosphere, see if you like the environment. Because you spend a lot of money to go to college, and if you have more than one son or daughter, I have 2 kids at home. You think about how much it costs to send them to school.
Sure.
Take your time and do your research.
Great. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you've been watching The Secrets of College Planning. I'm your host, Anthony Uva. Until next time.